The garage smelled like motor oil and betrayal at midnight. I was under the hood of my beat-up Ford, wrench in hand, when Vivian's phone chimed from the kitchen counter. Again, third time in 10 minutes. "Dad, you're seriously going to pretend you don't hear that?" My 17-year-old daughter Emma leaned against the garage door frame, arms crossed. "Mom's been getting texts all night. You know what that means, right?" I wiped grease off my hands with an old rag. "It means your mother has a lot of business contacts." Emma snorted. "Business contacts don't text at midnight, Dad. When are you going to stop being so naive?" The word stung because it was probably true. Frederick Ashford, tech consultant, 42 years old, apparently the last guy in Massachusetts to figure out his wife was cheating on him. I'd been troubleshooting network problems for small businesses for 15 years, but I couldn't debug my own marriage. "Your mother is launching her startup. Investors keep weird hours." "Right. And I'm sure this Leonard Hale guy is just really passionate about her business plan." Emma's voice dripped with teenage sarcasm. "Dad, just check her purse for once. Stop being so trusting." The name hit me like a wrench to the gut. Leonard Hale. Emma knew about Leonard Hale, which meant this wasn't some paranoid teenage theory. This was real. "How do you know that name?" "Because I'm not walking around with my eyes closed. Mom talks to him constantly. She lights up when his name appears on her phone. She dresses differently when she's meeting him. Come on, Dad. You're supposed to be the smart one in this family." I set down the wrench and really looked at my daughter. When had she gotten so perceptive? When had I gotten so blind? "Emma, your mother and I are getting divorced. I know. The question is whether you're going to let her walk all over you or if you're going to do something about it." She disappeared back into the house, leaving me alone with the truth I'd been avoiding. Vivian wasn't working late. She wasn't networking. She wasn't building a business empire. She was having an affair with Leonard Hale, and apparently everyone knew except me. I closed the hood of the Ford and walked into our pristine kitchen. Everything was white granite and stainless steel, designed to impress the neighbors in our affluent suburb outside Boston. Vivian had insisted on the renovation 2 years ago. Image matters, Rick. We need to look successful if we want to be successful. Her phone sat on the counter, screen dark now. I'd never checked it before, never felt the need. Trust was supposed to be the foundation of marriage, right? Wrong. I picked up the phone. No passcode. Vivian had always said she had nothing to hide. Another lie, apparently. The text thread with Leonard Hale was right there at the top. Dozens of messages. I scrolled up, my stomach churning with each exchange. "Can't wait for tomorrow night. Same place?" "Of course. I've been thinking about you all day. The Fairmont has the best room service. You're terrible. I love it." The messages went back months. Months of lies, months of business meetings, months of me cooking dinner alone while my wife was in bed with another man. I kept scrolling, looking for something concrete, something I could use, and there it was, buried in the middle of a particularly disgusting exchange. "Room 412 is perfect. Same time Thursday?" Receipts. There would be receipts. Vivian's purse sat on the kitchen island, a designer bag that cost more than I made in a week. I'd bought it for her last Christmas, back when I thought we were happy. Inside, underneath the usual collection of lipstick and business cards, I found what I was looking for. Hotel receipts from the Fairmont, not just one or two, a stack of them, all for the same room, all on nights when Vivian had claimed to be working late or meeting investors. My hands shook as I photographed each receipt with my own phone. The dates matched perfectly with her business calendar. Every Tuesday and Thursday for the past 3 months, regular as clockwork. Leonard Hale. I Googled him on my phone, standing there in my kitchen at 12:30 a.m., surrounded by evidence of my wife's betrayal. He was exactly what I'd expected. 50-something, silver-haired, wearing an expensive suit in his LinkedIn photo, partner at Hale & Associates Investment Management, married to Miriam Hale according to his Facebook page, which was full of photos from charity galas and country club events. Married. The bastard was married. I kept digging. Miriam Hale had her own social media presence, lots of photos of their perfect life together. Their Beacon Hill townhouse, their summer place on the Cape, their anniversary dinners at expensive restaurants. She looked happy in the photos. Genuinely happy. Did she know? Was she sitting in their perfect house right now, thinking her husband was working late, just like I'd been doing? I heard footsteps on the stairs. Vivian coming down for a glass of water. She always got thirsty after her evening skincare routine. I quickly put everything back where I'd found it, slipped my phone into my pocket, and pretended to be cleaning up my tools. "Rick? What are you doing down here so late?" She appeared in the doorway wearing silk pajamas I'd never seen before. Probably another gift from Leonard. "Truck's making a weird noise. Wanted to check it out before tomorrow." "You work too hard." She moved to the refrigerator, got out a bottle of water. "I'm exhausted. The investors want to move fast on the launch. Leonard thinks we can have everything ready by next month." Leonard thinks. Leonard wants. Leonard says, "That's great, honey. This business means a lot to you." "It's going to change everything for us, Rick. Financial independence, real money, not just fixing computers for small businesses." The condescension in her voice was new. Or maybe it wasn't new. Maybe I'd just been too stupid to notice it before. "I'm proud of you, Viv. You're really building something special with Leonard." She smiled, and for a moment she looked like the woman I'd married 18 years ago. "He's been incredible, so supportive, so understanding. He really believes in me." "I'll bet he does." "Well, I should let you get to bed. Big day tomorrow?" "Actually, yes. Leonard and I have a dinner meeting with potential backers. Could be late." "The Fairmont?" The question slipped out before I could stop it. Vivian froze, water bottle halfway to her lips. "What? The dinner? Is it at the Fairmont? I know you've been there for business before." No, it's at some steakhouse downtown, Morton's, I think." She recovered quickly, but I caught the flash of panic in her eyes. "Why would you think the Fairmont?" "Just wondered. You mentioned it before." "I don't think so. Anyway, I should get to bed. Good night." She kissed my cheek, the same perfunctory peck she'd been giving me for months, and headed back upstairs. I waited until I heard our bedroom door close, then pulled out my phone and started researching divorce lawyers. But first, I had a phone call to make. Charlie Santoro's boxing gym smelled like sweat and determination. It was my sanctuary, the one place in my life that still made sense. Charlie had been training fighters for 30 years, and he'd been trying to teach me discipline for the past 5. "You look like hell, Ashford." Charlie was wrapping his hands, getting ready for his morning workout. "What's eating you?" I'd been coming here since Emma was in middle school, partly for the exercise, mostly for the therapy. Charlie was the closest thing I had to a father figure since my own dad passed. If anyone would understand what I was going through, it would be him. "My wife is having an affair." Charlie stopped rapping and looked at me. Really looked at me. "You sure?" "Hotel receipts, text messages, the works. What are you going to do about it?" That was Charlie. No sympathy, no platitudes, just the direct question that mattered. "I don't know. Confront her, I guess. File for divorce." That's what she's expecting. That's what most guys do. Get emotional, make a scene, hand over half their assets, and walk away feeling like victims. "What's the alternative?" Charlie finished wrapping his hands and started stretching. "You want payback? You gotta be smarter than these country club types. You gotta think like a fighter, study your opponent, find their weaknesses, then hit them where it hurts most." "I'm not looking for revenge, Charlie. I just want out." "No, you don't. You want justice. There's a difference. Justice means making sure they pay for what they did. Revenge is just getting even. You want justice." He was right. I didn't just want a divorce. I wanted Vivian and Leonard to face consequences for what they'd done. I wanted them to hurt the way I was hurting. So what do I do? First, You gather intelligence, everything you can find. Then you find allies, people who have as much to lose as you do. Allies? Think about it, Rick. This Leonard guy is married, right? His wife probably doesn't know what's going on. She's got just as much reason to want revenge as you do. Maybe more. The idea hit me like a revelation. Miriam Hale, Leonard's wife. She was as much a victim in this as I was, and based on her social media presence, she had a lot more to lose than I did. You think she'd work with me? Only one way to find out. But be careful. Rich people play by different rules. They've got lawyers and connections. You need to be smarter than them. I spent the rest of the day researching Miriam Hale. She was 45, a former art gallery owner who now sat on the boards of several charities. No children, which probably meant she'd have more time and energy to focus on destroying her cheating husband. Her Instagram account was a masterpiece of upper-class performance. Photos from gallery openings, charity luncheons, weekend trips to Martha's Vineyard. Everything carefully curated to project success and happiness. But there were cracks if you looked closely. Recent photos showed her alone more often. Leonard was absent from the last 3 charity events she'd attended. The captions were getting shorter, less personal. Maybe she already suspected something. I created a new email account and spent an hour crafting the perfect message. It had to be careful, professional, but clear enough that she'd understand what I was offering. Mrs. Hale, I believe we have a mutual problem regarding our spouses. I have information you might find interesting. If you're willing to discuss this matter privately, please respond to this email. I think we can help each other. F. Ashford. I hit send before I could change my mind. The response came back within 2 hours. Mr. Ashford, yes, I think we should talk. Are you available tomorrow evening? There's a bar at the Copley Plaza Hotel. 7 p.m. I'll be wearing a blue scarf. M. Hale. The Copley Plaza. Of course. Even her choice of meeting place screamed money and class, but at least she was willing to meet. I spent the next 24 hours preparing. I printed out copies of all the hotel receipts, screenshots of the text messages, and a timeline of Vivian's business meetings with Leonard. If Miriam Hale wanted proof, I'd give her proof. The bar at the Copley Plaza was exactly what I'd expected. Dark wood, leather chairs, and cocktails that cost more than I usually spent on lunch. I arrived 15 minutes early and found a corner table where we could talk privately. Miriam Hale walked in at exactly 7 o'clock. She was smaller than I'd expected from her photos, but she carried herself with the kind of confidence that only comes from money and education. The blue scarf was silk, probably worth more than my monthly car payment. Mr. Ashford? Rick, please, call me Rick. She sat down across from me, ordered a martini from the waitress, and got straight to business. So, Leonard is having an affair with your wife. You already knew. I suspected. Leonard has always been a creature of habit. When his habits changed, I noticed. Late nights, new cologne, mysterious phone calls, but I needed proof. I have proof. I slid the folder across the table. Miriam opened it and studied the contents with the same focus I'd seen her use when examining art in her Instagram photos. The Fairmont. How predictable. Leonard always did lack imagination. She closed the folder and looked at me. What do you want, Rick? I want them to pay for what they've done. Both of them. Divorce? More than that. I want them to lose everything that matters to them. Their reputations, their social standing, their financial security. I want them to understand that actions have consequences. Miriam smiled for the first time since she'd sat down. It wasn't a pleasant smile. I think we're going to work very well together, Rick. I've been planning Leonard's destruction for weeks. I just needed someone who could provide evidence about the other woman. What did you have in mind? Leonard values 3 things above all else: his reputation, his money, and his social connections. Your wife, from what I've observed, values the same things. We're going to systematically destroy all 3. How? Carefully, legally, and very, very publicly. She finished her martini and signaled for another. Tell me, Rick, how much do you know about asset protection? Not much. Leonard has been very clever about hiding money over the years. Offshore accounts, shell companies, real estate held in trust. He thinks I don't know about any of it, but I've been married to him for 15 years. I know where every penny is hidden. You've been planning this for a while. A woman in my position learns to prepare for contingencies. I've been moving assets into my own name for months. When this all comes out, Leonard is going to discover that he's not nearly as wealthy as he thinks he is. I was starting to understand why Charlie had called these people dangerous. Miriam Hale wasn't just angry about her husband's affair. She was a predator who'd been waiting for the right moment to strike. What about Vivian? What about her? She's been living off your income while playing house with my husband. When the divorce papers are filed, she's going to find out that her investor is broke, and her husband is no longer willing to support her lifestyle. She'll get half of our assets. Will she? That depends on how good your lawyer is, and whether certain evidence about her adultery becomes public record. Miriam reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. Douglas Wren. He's handled several divorces for my friends. Very discreet, very effective. Tell him I referred you. What's the next step? We coordinate our attacks. I file for divorce on Friday. You file on Monday. By the time they realize what's happening, it'll be too late for them to protect themselves. They'll see it coming. Not if we're careful. Leonard thinks I'm a pampered socialite who doesn't understand business. Your wife thinks you're a naive computer technician who won't fight back. We're going to use their arrogance against them. She finished her second martini and stood to leave. One more thing, Rick. When this is over, Leonard and Vivian are going to be destroyed. Financially, socially, professionally. Are you prepared for that level of devastation? I thought about all the nights I'd eaten dinner alone, all the lies Vivian had told, all the times she'd made me feel like I wasn't good enough for her. Yes, I'm prepared. Good, I'll be in touch. She walked out of the bar with the same confidence she'd walked in with, leaving me alone with my empty beer and a plan for revenge that was bigger and more complex than anything I'd ever imagined. I called Douglas Wren the next morning. Douglas Wren's office overlooked Boston Harbor, and his hourly rate probably exceeded my monthly mortgage payment. But Miriam Hale's referral had gotten me an appointment within 24 hours, and the man himself inspired confidence. Miriam filled me in on the basics, he said, reviewing the folder of evidence I'd brought. This is good work, Rick. Very thorough. Most people in your situation are too emotional to gather this kind of documentation. I had good advice. Miriam Hale is a formidable woman. Leonard has no idea what's coming. Douglas closed the folder and leaned back in his leather chair. Here's what we're going to do. Massachusetts is a no-fault divorce state, but adultery still matters when it comes to asset division and alimony. We're going to make sure the judge sees every hotel receipt, every text message, every lie your wife told. What about the business? Vivian claims she's starting a company with Leonard. Have you seen any legal documentation, articles of incorporation, partnership agreements, business licenses? No. She just talks about meetings and investors. Because there is no business, Rick. What you've documented is an affair disguised as a professional relationship. Your wife has been using business vocabulary to cover up bedroom appointments. When that becomes clear in court, she's going to lose any claim to spousal support. The pieces were falling into place. Vivian's startup was just an elaborate cover story for her relationship with Leonard. All those nights she'd come home excited about investor meetings and business development. She'd been talking about her affair. What's the timeline? Miriam files for divorce tomorrow. You file on Monday. By Tuesday, both Leonard and Vivian will be served with papers. They'll realize they've been outmaneuvered, but it'll be too late to protect themselves. What if they try to run? Where would they go? Leonard's assets are already frozen thanks to Miriam's preparation. Your wife has no money of her own. They're trapped. I left Douglas's office feeling something I hadn't experienced in months. Hope. Not just hope for escape, but hope for justice. That evening, Vivian came home late from another investor meeting. She was glowing with excitement, practically bouncing as she told me about her day. Leonard thinks we can launch next month, Rick. He's arranged meetings with 3 major clients. This is really happening. That's wonderful, honey. You and Leonard make a great team. We do, don't we? He understands my vision in a way that most people don't. The casual cruelty of that statement hit me like a physical blow. She wasn't just cheating on me, she was falling in love with him. I'm happy for you, Viv. You deserve success. Thank you for being so supportive. I know this has been hard on you, with me working so much. But once the business is established, we'll have more time together. More lies. Even now, with divorce papers being prepared, she was still lying to my face. Actually, I was thinking we should celebrate. Why don't you invite Leonard and his wife over for dinner this weekend? I'd like to meet the man who's been so important to your success. Vivian's face went pale. Oh, I don't think that's necessary. Leonard keeps his business and personal lives very separate. I'm sure he'd make an exception. After all, we're practically family now, with how close you two have become. Rick, I insist. In fact, I'll call him myself. You must have his number. The panic in her eyes was unmistakable. No, really, that's not a good idea. Leonard is very private. He wouldn't appreciate a social invitation from someone he doesn't know. But he knows me. You talk about me all the time, right? Your supportive husband who's so proud of your business venture. Vivian realized she was trapped. If Leonard was really just a business partner, there'd be no reason to refuse a dinner invitation. But because he was her lover, the idea of him sitting at our dining room table with his wife was terrifying. I'll ask him, but don't get your hopes up. He's very busy. Of course he is. Successful men always are. The next morning, I got a text from Miriam. Papers filed. The countdown begins. I spent Friday in a state of nervous energy, waiting for Vivian to come home and tell me about her day. Would Leonard mention his divorce papers? Would he panic and confess everything to her? Vivian came home at her usual time, but she was different. Subdued. Worried. How was your day? I asked. Fine. Busy. Leonard had to cancel our meeting. Some kind of family emergency. Family emergency. That was one way to describe being served with divorce papers. Nothing serious, I hope. I don't know. He wasn't very specific. Just said he needed to deal with some personal issues. Well, I'm sure everything will work out. Leonard seems like the kind of man who can handle whatever life throws at him. Saturday passed quietly. No calls from Leonard, no excited updates about the business. Vivian spent most of the day on her phone, sending text messages that went unanswered. Sunday, she was openly agitated. Have you heard from Leonard? I asked over breakfast. No. His phone goes straight to voicemail. I'm starting to get worried. Maybe you should call his wife, make sure he's okay. I don't have her number. I could look it up for you. What's her name again? I don't know. Leonard doesn't talk about his personal life. Another lie. A desperate one this time. Monday morning, I was sitting in Douglas Wren's office, signing divorce papers, when my phone rang. Vivian's number. Rick, where are you? There are people at the house. They're saying something about legal documents. I'm at work. What kind of legal documents? Divorce papers, Rick. Someone is trying to serve me with divorce papers. This has to be some kind of mistake. I'll be right home. I hung up and looked at Douglas. Showtime. Remember, Rick, stay calm. Don't get emotional. Let the papers speak for themselves. I drove home through the winding streets of our suburb, past the manicured lawns and perfect houses that had once represented everything I'd wanted in life. Now they just looked like expensive prisons. Vivian was waiting in the driveway, still in her bathrobe, holding a manila envelope. The process server was long gone, but the evidence of his visit was unmistakable. Rick, what is this? Why would someone serve me with divorce papers? Maybe you should open them and find out. This isn't funny. Someone is playing a horrible joke. Open the papers, Vivian. She tore open the envelope with shaking hands and pulled out the documents. I watched her face as she read the first page, then the second, then the attached evidence. Rick, I can explain. Explain what? The hotel receipts? The text messages? The months of lies? It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. You've been having an affair with Leonard Hale. You've been using business meetings as cover for your relationship, and you've been lying to me about all of it. Vivian's composure cracked completely. How did you find out? Does it matter? The question is, what are you going to do now? We can work through this, Rick. It was a mistake, a moment of weakness. Leonard means nothing to me. Leonard means nothing to you? That's interesting. Because his wife seems to think he means quite a lot to you. His wife? Miriam Hale. Lovely woman. We had drinks last week. She showed me some very interesting financial documents. Apparently Leonard isn't quite as wealthy as he's been pretending to be. The color drained from Vivian's face. You've been talking to his wife. We've become quite close. In fact, we're having dinner tonight, at the same restaurant where you and Leonard have been meeting. Would you like to join us? I'm sure Leonard would love to see you. Rick, please. We need to talk about this privately. We're way past private conversations, Viv. This is public now. Your parents are going to find out. Your friends are going to find out. Everyone is going to know what kind of person you really are. You can't do this to me. I'm not doing anything to you. You did this to yourself. I'm just making sure there are consequences. I walked past her into the house, leaving her standing in the driveway with divorce papers and the wreckage of her carefully constructed lies. My phone was ringing. Miriam Hale. Rick, I just wanted to let you know that Leonard received your wife's contact information from my lawyer. Apparently he's been trying to reach her all weekend. She mentioned that he wasn't returning her calls. Oh, he will be now. He's desperate to coordinate their stories before this gets any worse. But it's too late for that. What's the next step? Dinner. Tonight. Morton's Steakhouse downtown. I made reservations under my name. Table for 4. 4? You, me, and our cheating spouses. It's time for everyone to sit down and discuss the situation like adults. I could hear Vivian crying in the driveway. They're not going to want to come. They don't have a choice, Rick. Leonard's assets are frozen. Your wife's support system is gone. They need to know what we're willing to offer them in exchange for a quiet, cooperative divorce. And what are we offering them? Nothing. But they don't know that yet. The text message I sent to Vivian was simple. Dinner tonight, Morton's Steakhouse 8 p.m., you and Leonard, non-negotiable. She came inside an hour later, eyes red from crying, clutching her phone like a lifeline. Leonard can't be reached. His phone is disconnected. Try his office. I did. They said he's taking a leave of absence. Rick, what's happening? What's happening is that your boyfriend's wife is a lot smarter than either of you gave her credit for. She's been planning this for months. Planning what? His destruction, and yours by extension. I was starting to enjoy this. For months, Vivian had treated me like I was too stupid to see what was happening right in front of me. Now she was the one who couldn't understand the situation. You have to call this off, Rick. Whatever you and this woman are planning, it's going to hurt innocent people. Innocent people? You mean like me? Like Miriam Hale? We're the innocent people, Vivian. You and Leonard are the ones who chose to hurt us. I never meant for this to happen. But it did happen, every Tuesday and Thursday for 3 months. Room 412 at the Fairmont Hotel. That's not an accident, Viv. That's a relationship. My phone buzzed, text message from an unknown number. This is Leonard. We need to talk before tonight. I showed the message to Vivian. Looks like your boyfriend found a way to contact me. What are you going to tell him? The truth. That his wife knows everything, that his assets are frozen, that his marriage is over, that his reputation is about to be destroyed, and that the only way to minimize the damage is to cooperate with our demands. What demands? You'll find out tonight. I called Leonard back from the number he'd texted. He answered on the first ring. Rick, thank God. Listen, I think there's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, Leonard. I know about the affair. I know about the fake business. I know about the hotel rooms. And more importantly, your wife knows about all of it. Silence on the other end of the line. Leonard, you still there? What do you want? I want you and Vivian at Morton's Steakhouse tonight at 8 o'clock. My wife will give you the details. I can't do that. Miriam will be there. Yes, she will, along with our lawyers. We have some things to discuss. Rick, you don't understand. Miriam isn't just angry. She's been planning this. She's taken everything. The house, the accounts, the business. I have nothing left. That sounds like a personal problem, Leonard. See you at 8. I hung up before he could respond. Vivian was staring at me like she'd never seen me before. Who are you? This isn't like you, Rick. Maybe you never knew who I really was. Maybe you were so busy looking down on me that you never bothered to find out what I was capable of. I never looked down on you. Really? Then why did you need Leonard? What did he give you that I couldn't? Vivian was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. Excitement, adventure, the feeling that I was special. And I made you feel ordinary? You made me feel safe. But safe isn't enough anymore, Rick. I wanted more than safe. Well, congratulations. You got it. How's that working out for you now? She didn't answer. Morton's Steakhouse was exactly the kind of place Leonard would choose for his affair. Dark, expensive, private booths where conversations couldn't be overheard. I arrived early and found Miriam already seated at a corner table, looking like she was attending a business meeting rather than confronting her cheating husband. How are you holding up? She asked as I sat down. Better than I expected. Vivian is falling apart. She can't reach Leonard, can't understand how this happened so fast. Leonard is learning that actions have consequences. I've been very thorough in my preparation. How thorough? He has no access to any of our joint accounts. His credit cards have been canceled. His business partners have been informed that he's taking an indefinite leave of absence due to personal issues. By tomorrow, everyone in our social circle will know that we're getting divorced. What about the money he's been spending on Vivian? What money? Leonard hasn't had access to any real money in months. Everything he's been using to impress your wife came from accounts I control. The hotel rooms, the expensive dinners, even that ridiculous Porsche he's been driving, all of it was paid for with my money. I started to laugh. I couldn't help it. So Vivian has been having an affair with a man who was spending his wife's money to impress her? Exactly. And when she finds out, she's going to realize that Leonard has nothing to offer her except debt and scandal. At 8:15, Leonard and Vivian walked into the restaurant together. They looked like they were attending their own execution. Leonard's expensive suit couldn't hide the fact that he'd aged 10 years in the past week. Vivian was trying to project confidence, but her hands were shaking. They approached our table slowly, like they were walking through a minefield. Miriam, Leonard said carefully. You look well. Leonard, Vivian, please, sit down. We have a lot to discuss. The four of us sat at the table like we were attending a bizarre dinner party. The waitress approached, but Miriam waved her away. This wasn't a social occasion. I think we should start with the obvious, Miriam said. Leonard, you've been having an affair with Vivian for the past 3 months. Vivian, you've been lying to your husband about the nature of your relationship with Leonard. Everyone at this table knows the truth, so let's not waste time with denials. Leonard started to speak, but Miriam cut him off. The question now is how we handle the situation going forward. Leonard, you've been served with divorce papers. Your assets are frozen, your credit is destroyed, and your business reputation is in ruins. Vivian, You're about to discover that your husband is not the passive victim you thought he was. She nodded to me. This was my cue. Vivian, I've filed for divorce. I'm seeking full custody of Emma, half of all marital assets, and documentation of your adultery for the court record. I'm also prepared to provide evidence of your affair to your parents, your friends, and anyone else who might be interested. Rick, you can't. I can and I will, unless you cooperate with my terms. What terms? I pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. Uncontested divorce. You get nothing. No alimony, no property settlement, no custody. You walk away with whatever you can carry, and you never contact me or Emma again. Vivian opened the folder with trembling hands. This is insane. I have rights. You had rights when you were a faithful wife. You gave up those rights when you decided to have an affair. Leonard finally found his voice. Miriam, surely we can work something out. 15 years of marriage has to count for something. It does count for something, Leonard. It counts as 15 years of evidence that you're a liar and a cheat. 15 years of documentation that you've been hiding money and deceiving me about your business dealings. 15 years of proof that you never loved me, you just loved what I could do for you. That's not true, isn't it? Tell me, Leonard, how much of your own money did you spend on your affair with Vivian? Leonard was quiet. None of it, right? The hotel rooms, the dinners, the gifts, all of it came from accounts that I funded. You were using my money to cheat on me. How pathetic is that? Miriam, please. Please what? Please forgive you? Please pretend this never happened? Please let you destroy our lives for a woman who doesn't even love you? She turned to Vivian. He doesn't love you, you know. Leonard has never loved anyone except himself. You were just an ego boost, a way for him to feel young and important again. That's not true, Vivian said, but her voice lacked conviction. Ask him about his first affair, or his second, or the one before you. Leonard has been cheating on me for years. You're just the latest in a long line of women who thought they were special. Leonard's face went white. Miriam, stop. Why should I stop? These people deserve to know what kind of man you really are, what kind of future you're offering Vivian. She reached into her purse and pulled out a manila envelope. Financial records, Leonard. Every hidden account, every secret investment, every lie you've told about money. It's all here, and tomorrow it's all going to be public record. You can't do that. I can, and I will, unless you agree to my terms. What terms? Uncontested divorce. You get nothing. No property, no alimony, no access to any of the accounts you've been hiding. You walk away with your clothes and whatever debt you've accumulated on your own. The table was silent. Leonard and Vivian looked at each other, then at us, then back at each other. They were trapped, and they knew it. And if we don't agree? Leonard asked. Then this gets very public very quickly. Divorce proceedings, financial investigations, social media exposure. Everyone you know will find out what you've done. Your business reputation will be destroyed. Your social connections will disappear. You'll be persona non grata in Boston society. You're bluffing. Miriam smiled and pulled out her phone. Am I? She showed him the screen. It was a draft email to the social page editor of Boston Magazine, complete with photos of Leonard and Vivian entering the Fairmont Hotel. One click, Leonard. That's all it takes. Leonard looked at Vivian, who was staring at the photos with horror. Those are from last week. I've been documenting your affair for months. I have photos, videos, witness statements, everything I need to destroy both of you. What do you want us to do? Sign the papers, agree to the terms, disappear quietly, and maybe, just maybe, this stays between the four of us. Leonard reached for the pen. The papers were signed by 9:30. Leonard's hand shook as he wrote his name, and Vivian cried silently through the entire process. When it was over, they sat at the table like they'd been physically beaten. What happens now? Vivian asked. Now you figure out how to rebuild your lives, I said. separately. Rick, I know you hate me, but Emma is still my daughter. I can't just disappear from her life. You should have thought about that before you decided to have an affair. Emma is 17 years old. She's smart enough to understand what you did, and she's old enough to decide whether she wants a relationship with you. You can't turn her against me. I don't have to. You did that yourself. Miriam gathered up the signed documents and put them in her briefcase. Leonard, I'll expect you to be out of the house by Friday. Take whatever personal belongings you need, but everything else stays. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore. You're a resourceful man. Figure it out. She stood up and extended her hand to me. Rick, it's been a pleasure working with you. I think we make an excellent team. What about you? What's next for Miriam Hale? Travel, I think. I've always wanted to see Europe. Maybe I'll buy a place in Tuscany. Leonard's hidden accounts should provide more than enough funding for whatever I want to do. She walked out of the restaurant with the same confidence she'd shown the day we met. Leonard and Vivian watched her go, then looked at each other with something approaching panic. What are we going to do? Vivian whispered. We! There is no we, Vivian. You made that clear when you decided to cheat on your husband. Leonard, please. We can work this out. We can start over somewhere else. Leonard was already shaking his head. With what money? Miriam took everything. I don't have a job, a house, or a bank account. I can't even afford a hotel room. But the business? There is no business, Vivian. There never was. It was just an excuse to spend time with you. The truth hit her like a physical blow. Everything you told me was a lie? Not everything. I do care about you, but I can't take care of you. I can't even take care of myself. I stood up to leave. This is where I say goodbye. Vivian, your belongings will be packed and waiting for you tomorrow. Don't come to the house. Emma doesn't want to see you. Rick, wait. No, we're done. 18 years of marriage, and this is how it ends. In a restaurant with lawyers and signed papers and the wreckage of everything we built together. I'm sorry. I know you are. But sorry doesn't fix anything. Sorry doesn't give me back the months of lies. Sorry doesn't make Emma trust you again. Sorry is just a word people use when they get caught. I walked out of Morton's Steakhouse and into the cool Boston night. My phone was already ringing. Charlie. How did it go? It's over. They signed everything. How do you feel? Empty, angry, relieved. I don't know. That's normal. You want to hit something? Yeah, I really do. Gym's open late tonight. Come on over. We'll work it out on the heavy bag. Charlie's gym was nearly empty at 10 o'clock on a Monday night. Just me, Charlie, and a couple of serious fighters who were training for upcoming matches. The familiar smell of sweat and leather was exactly what I needed. You did good, Rick. You outplayed them at their own game. Did I? Because right now it feels like everyone lost. Maybe. But they lost more than you did. You kept your dignity. You kept your daughter. You kept your self-respect. They lost everything that mattered to them. I wrapped my hands and started hitting the heavy bag. Each punch felt like I was driving out months of frustration and betrayal. Charlie held the bag steady and let me work. What's next? He asked after I'd exhausted myself. I don't know. Start over, I guess. Figure out how to be a single father. Try to rebuild some kind of relationship with Emma. She'll come around. Kids are resilient. She knows you did the right thing. The right thing. Is that what this was? You think it wasn't? I thought about Vivian crying at the restaurant table, about Leonard's shocked face when he realized how completely he'd been outmaneuvered, about the devastating efficiency with which Miriam Hale had destroyed her husband's life. I think it was justice, but it doesn't feel like victory. Justice never does. Victory is what you get when you beat someone in a fair fight. Justice is what you get when you make someone pay for what they did wrong. They're different things. My phone buzzed. Text message from Emma. Dad, are you okay? Mom came by to get some clothes. She's crying a lot. I texted back, I'm fine. At the gym with Charlie. Home soon. Did you really take everything? I took what was mine. She can keep what's hers. Good. She deserves it. Emma was waiting for me when I got home. She was sitting at the kitchen island, doing homework. But I could tell she'd been waiting to talk. So it's really over? It's really over. Are you sad? I'm sad about what your mother chose to do. I'm sad about what we lost. But I'm not sad about ending it. I'm not either. She hasn't been the same person for months. It's like she turned into someone else. People change, Em. Sometimes not for the better. Will you change? Probably, but I hope I'll change for the better. She hugged me, something she hadn't done in months. I'm proud of you, Dad, for standing up for yourself. I'm proud of you, too, for seeing the truth, even when it was hard. What happens now? Now we figure out how to be a family of 2 instead of 3. We sell this house and find something smaller. We learn how to cook meals that don't involve takeout. We figure out college applications and prom dresses and all the other things that your mother was supposed to help with. I can handle the prom dress thing myself. Good, because I have no idea what I'm doing with that stuff. We sat in the kitchen for another hour talking about practical things, school schedules, Emma's job at the local bookstore, the logistics of selling a house and starting over, normal things, safe things. But underneath the practical conversation, we were both processing the enormity of what had happened. A marriage had ended. A family had been broken apart. 2 people who had once loved each other had become enemies. And somewhere across town, Vivian was probably sitting in a hotel room, wondering how her life had fallen apart so quickly. Leonard was probably doing the same thing, maybe in a different hotel room, maybe in his car. I should have felt sorry for them. But I didn't. They had made their choices. They had decided that their affair was worth more than their marriages, their families, their reputations. They had gambled everything for a few months of excitement and adventure. They had lost. I had won. But winning felt a lot like losing, and justice felt a lot like revenge, and I wasn't sure anymore whether there was really any difference between the two. My phone rang one more time. Miriam Hale. Rick? I just wanted to check in. Make sure you're all right. I'm fine. Tired, but fine. It's done, you know. Leonard signed the papers, the accounts are transferred, the house is mine. He's completely destroyed. What about Vivian? What about her? She's Leonard's problem now. Or maybe Leonard is her problem. Either way, it's not our concern anymore. Do you think we did the right thing? I think we did the necessary thing. Sometimes they're the same. Sometimes they're not. Any regrets? None. You? I looked around my kitchen, at Emma doing homework, at the life I was going to have to rebuild from scratch, at the future that was uncertain, but finally honest. No. No regrets. Good. Take care of yourself, Rick. You're a good man. You deserve better than what she gave you. You too, Miriam. Enjoy Tuscany. I will. Emma looked up from her homework. Who was that? Someone who helped me understand that sometimes you have to fight for what's right. Did you win? I thought about it for a moment. Vivian was gone. Leonard was destroyed. Miriam had her revenge. I had my freedom. Yeah, I think I did. Emma smiled and went back to her homework. I sat at the kitchen island, in the house I was about to sell, surrounded by the life I was about to leave behind, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. It was over. All of it. The lies, the betrayal, the careful planning, the devastating execution of perfect revenge. It was over, and I had won.